If you're interested in homesteading, then you're in luck because in today's video, I'm going to talk about homesteading for beginners. So what's a homestead? When I think of homestead, I think of homeostasis and creating your own needs, such as food, water, shelter, you're gardening, maybe raising livestock, you got a well or you're harvesting rain, those kind of things. When I Googled homestead, it simply mentioned a building and the outbuildings surrounding it, and that's it. They're certainly not thinking of homesteading the way that our ancestors did. I started a homestead as far away from the city and town as I could get on purpose to be a sustainable and frugal and just live my own lifestyle as much as I can with very little influence from the city and whatnot. So I enjoy my solitude and trying to grow as much food as I can, vegetables and animals, livestock, storing that food, harvesting rainwater, storing that water, and all those kind of things. I think the main piece of advice that I give people is if you want to get started homesteading, then just get started. And one of the best ways to get started is to invest in a piece of land. Find something that'll work for you to homestead, and even if you wind up not homesteading, it should have gone up in value like it has done for the last 200 years on average, and you could flip the property or probably, you could put a little bit into it and sell it for more. So my advice is to just get started. When I was about 21 years old, I started driving truck. I drove truck coast to coast for a while, but I started driving truck for a milk company, and I was the only semi-truck driver they had. And I would deliver 53-foot trailers loaded from front to back with crates full of milk. And one of my first nights, it was a really complicated dock to get into, and it had snowed and the roads were iced over and I was sliding down. So it's a really sharp corner to dock, and it's, you got to go uphill basically. And well, with the bad conditions, I ended up bumping the dock hard enough to shift the entire trailer. All the milk crates tilted and a few of the pallets spilled. And as you could imagine, hundreds of gallons of spilt milk. And for a split second, I froze and was going to stop and think about the best way to do everything. And I decided right then and there to just get started. And it was the best move I made because I got started immediately, got things moving. It took till 3 a.m, but can you imagine how much worse it would have sucked if I sat there for 45 minutes crying about it? What do you need to get started? You need food, water, and shelter. So you need to get that piece of land. And then when you're ready to go out there, are you going to live in an RV or in a trailer? Are you going to build a home first? How are you going to do that? You got to go through those steps, but you got to make sure that you have food, water, and shelter. And bringing a 1-year supply of food out, a cheap food storage, is great. If you've already got a good food storage of the kind of food that you eat normally and you're rotating it, bring that. But if you don't, I would get rice and beans and get a year's supply just in case something happens. And then you don't need to worry about it. You might not be super stoked to eat rice for a week, but you'll be super stoked that you didn't starve to death. You'll want to have some kind of electricity. And so having even your AA, AAA 9-volt batteries rechargeable with a station, that's a good idea. A generator is cheap, a gas generator, but you don't want to if there's any neighbors or anything, and even for your own sanity, you don't want to run a generator all the time. And so if you can set up solar right out the gate, I think that's the best way to go. And then maybe have a generator in emergencies, or if you're overcast, you can hurry and recharge your batteries for an hour or two, and then you don't need to run the generator all the time. And so get yourself a decent solar system. I've done reviews of even only 1200 watt portable power stations, and a 1200 watt portable power station can pretty well run my homestead as long as I have the couple 100 watts of solar panels going into it. You would have to be careful. If you can get up to a 5 kilowatt or a 10 kilowatt system, that'll definitely take care of you and probably a small family. Something that I've focused on as I've built my homestead is redundancy. And so, an example, I have a wood burning stove in my shop. If in an emergency, I could go sleep by it and keep myself warm. I have propane burner in my van where I live, and I use that only to cook. But if my diesel air heater dies and I need to work on the heater for a day or two, get parts, I can run the propane heat. And I've got ventilation, and I've got a CO2 and a carbon monoxide / carbon dioxide alarm. And you know, that's just for heat. And there's even other sources. If there's a burn barrel, you know, I could come up with a way to warm myself. And I try to do that with heating water, with heating myself, with food, with water storage. There's multiple levels of, if this water went bad, I can use that water, or so on and so forth. Redundancy is a good thing to have on a homestead. If you can fill up a couple 50-gallon barrels and pretty well keep them in cycle, then you'll never really have to worry about running out of gas. But you always have to have 5 gallons or enough to get back to town to get more gas. You need to have a source of income, whether you're going to make money on the homestead or not. Hopefully you have a few streams already set up before you get there. I didn't. So it can be done, but you need to have some sort of income. Did you guys know that I wrote an Amazon bestseller in multiple categories, and I'm going to give it to you for free? I'm not going to sell you anything, but if you want to download my book for free, just go down below, click the link to join my mailing list. I only send you stuff that will add value to your life, so check out my mailing list and you'll automatically get a copy of my ebook. Of course, I've talked to some people that absolutely loathe the idea that I raise livestock responsibly and harvest my own meat. But, you know, there's more than one way to skin a cat. And you could potentially grow an enormous garden and grow all your vegetables and grow beans and maybe raise crickets for protein and all those things. So keep that in mind. You know, there's definitely not just one way to have a homestead. If you can do anything to give yourself kind of a treat right when you get out there. So in my case, I came out with just the van and 2 IBC totes on a cheap trailer. That's it. I had the 1 year's supply of food inside and whatnot, but just the van and whatnot. And I really didn't have any amenities. But if you could provide yourself something nice, like somewhere to take a hot shower right out the gate the first night, that'd be really nice. Or you know, whatever it is, if you got like a little oven and you like to bake and you're going to be able to bake right the first night and those kind of things, that'll make it easier. And when I came out here the first 6 months, honestly, you know, it's because I had nothing else, but I would heat up water and then sponge bath out of a bowl, and when I did it, I felt like a king. But it's because I had nothing. And so my point is if I would have brought out like a propane shower heater and just, you know, boom, it would have just been so nice. And so if you can give yourself something special, you know, if you got a spouse, let her decorate the place, those kind of things. Ask yourself, why are you doing this? Why are you doing it? And then cater to yourself. Create the homestead that's going to give you what you want. If you want a cow and that has to be done, then buy your homestead and plan accordingly so you can have a cow. You know, if you want horses, or if you're doing it to grow an enormous garden, maybe you just want a piece of land that already has great soil and those kind of things. And then I guess the number one most important thing about beginning the homestead is to enjoy it. So don't move out there and hate it. It made it really easy for me because I love what I'm doing, and I always did, and so I never hated it. And well, that's about all I've got to say about that. Check out the links below. Subscribe if you want to learn more about my homestead, guys. Join my membership for extra perks and videos. I'll catch you guys on the next one.